Hi everyone. The Diablo 4 developers held their once again their sit down campfire chat for the 2.5.0 PTR, which is the upcoming season 11 uh, mechanics and changes on the game. So I'm just gonna briefly discuss on what are going to be the changes on season 11. Um, the preview of the seasonal mechanics, and I'm just gonna go over basically only for the Necromancer side because I only play the Necromancer. So I'm just gonna go over just a brief on what are the new items, changes on the Necromancer skills, and the new item. So I'm very excited on what's going to happen on season 11. So let's start with the what are the changes. So the changes on season 11 will be the tempering and masterworking. Then the fortification, they have reworked the fortification mechanic, and the defenses, which is our resistances and our armor. We will go over with those later. Let's start with the tempering and masterworking. So for the tempering, so technically we can now temper an affix, and we can now choose the tempering affix that we want. However, we can only temper an item, we can only add a tempering affix with one affix only. However, they are changing the number of affix on the legendary items from 3 to 4. So basically we are still getting compensated with that loss of one temper affix. So now basically we have it's like we are still compensated with that affix, but we now have a 4 affix that we are going to look through on the drops, that to ensure that we have at least 3 out of 4 of the affix that we really need, and we will just enchant the 4th one to make the gear perfect. So now again, so all of the tempering recipe that we're getting, so we can now temper the affix, and we can choose on the item. And for the tempering, we can temper the rare items has 3 tempers, and then 5 tempers for the legendary items. And we can still get the scroll of restoration, and the scroll of restoration will for example, we are no longer breaking the item. So once we temper the item, so we now have the tempered affix. Then let's just say we are rolling for a if we want, I think it's going on with the masterworking. We will just discuss it later. So I think for the scroll of restoration, it will be incorporated with the masterworking. So again, for the tempering, so we can only add 1 affix, and then we now have 4 affixes on the legendary item. Now masterworking. So masterworking is no longer like ranking 1 to 4 and then we're adding affix. So now they remove that. We're in the masterworking is no longer increasing the affix values, but rather it increases the quality of the item. So the quality, it goes with the armor on the armor gears, resistances on the rings, and basically the jewelries. And then for the weapon, so basically damage. So that is the one that the masterworking is now increasing up to maximum of 20. So 20, so that's 20% increase on the item. Once the item reaches the maximum threshold, it will now can be upgraded to a what they call the capstone bonus. So this capstone bonus, what it does, if the item doesn't have a GA, a greater affix, so you can upgrade it, and then it will randomly choose an affix to make it a greater affix. So same thing, if you have a ancestral item with 1 GA, then if you masterwork it, then you can add 1 more GA on the item, and so on. Like if you have 3 GA and then you have 1, then you can roll for the 4th one to become a GA. And the greater affix that the capstone bonus will will upgrade, it also includes the temper affix. So if you have, say, a damage multiplier on the weapon, so you can also GA that temper affix. And then now we have, for the season 11, we now have what they call the sanctification. The sanctification, from the example on what they have, is that it seems like this can be done once per item, and what it does, it seems like it adds a random aspect on the item. So this is only a one-time upgrade on the item. So we just make sure that we have the right. Basically, it's just more on getting your luck, and if you're lucky to get that affix, then you will have that additional aspect. Basically, for example, for the Necromancer on the weapon, if you need the Grasping Veins, so instead of putting it as an aspect, if you're lucky, if you get that Grasping Veins, I guess, then you can have that on your one of your weapons. So imagine it's like you're gonna have a double aspect, considering that you are lucky that you get the right affix on your build. So that is the mechanic on next season. And then on top of that, I think they're also changing the behavior of the monster. And as far as the sit down with the developers, they said that they are avoiding that, not avoiding, but they're changing that the affix on the elites, that it contains multiple crowd control. Like I believe I have been, I've been very frustrated on my stream. Like if you have, imagine you have this terror, you have this frozen, and then you have this chilling wind. So it's like it activates one after the other of those crowd control mechanics, and then basically you are there's nothing you can do, and you cannot do anything with those crowd control that the monster will done to you. So that's one of their what they have explained on what will be the changes on the elites and some of the behaviors of the monsters as well. Now, defense, health, and renown. So one of the changes also, they have said that the renown, those bonuses, we are no longer carrying it on the season. It will retain on the Eternal Realm, but we can get those plus 2 Paragon points, the additional skill points based on what they call the seasonal rank, that as we play on the game. So anyway, we will go over that. Sorry, I was excited to discuss it. So overhaul on the so we now have what they call the toughness. So we have the armor. So armor and resistances are now becoming rating. So right now, once we cap our resistances are capped at 75%, we can go by adding another item, we can increase it up to a maximum of 85%. Then our armor is capped at 1000, and then it reduces your physical damage by 85%. Now they're changing the armor to be a damage reduction, both physical and non-physical, basically all damaged. So that's the purpose now of the armor. And then the resistances are now kind of rating. So I guess it's like there's no more cap on the resistances, I believe. It's just you can keep adding the resistances considering what are the strength of the monsters and what is the toughness. And now they have now what they call the toughness rating. So it's like same thing with the attack power. So attack power determines like how I would say powerful, like the rating of basically like say 100k, meaning you're doing like 1 billion damage with that kind of rating. But I believe it's at the game, like it's not really you're not looking into the attack power, but more on you're looking at the actual damage output that you are dealing. But for now, for the toughness on the upcoming season, so the toughness it's like your defense meter that if you reach this point, like, are you okay with your defenses, with your, I would say, when we go now on the pit, will there be like some kind of pit 75, minimum toughness rating is say 1000. If your rating is 1000, if your toughness rating is 800, are you still okay, or you're gonna die more frequently? Probably something like that. And then they're now also changing the healing. They're also adding back the life on hit, and I think they're changing how the healing works, I guess. And then fortification redesign. Now the fortification, basically it's easy to fortify, and then once you get fortification, then you have this 15% damage reduction. And basically, before, the purpose of the fortification is it ties up to the overpower mechanic. And now that this fortification, the additional life on the overpowered damage has been removed, so now they are reworking the fortify now as a another the way they explain it is like the fortification now adds on top of your life, and then when we get hit, the fortification some kind of our shield now. So the way I see it is like, because we are trying, like, for example, if you're doing the overpower build, you're trying to protect your life, so we are relying on the barrier. So now we can use the barrier, or with the fortification we can let the fortification to help on mitigating the damage before they hit our life. Maybe something like that. That's how I understand that the new rework on the fortification. I'm not going over to the entire on the patch notes, but you can feel free to look on the patch notes. I'll put the patch notes on the link on that on this patch on the patch notes on the description box below. But basically, the entire details with how this new mechanic works will be on the PTR. So now we're having this lesser evils that will be spawning. So this is the new seasonal mechanic. So Blood Maiden on Helltide will now be replaced with Belial. With Duriel. So I think Andariel will be spawning on Undercity, and then Belial will be spawning on the Pit. I think there's another one. I think there's a new boss called Asmodan. He is the one of the lesser prime evils, if I'm not mistaken, back in Diablo 3. So these bosses will give us some. So this is the new mechanic. So we're as we play Helltides, Undercity, so we will have this kind of powers that makes our farming more efficient and give us more rewards. So those are the defined gifts. So I think they have explained it here, what will be the rewards and what will be the effect on what we'll be getting. So there's this Essence of Shadows, the Sin, Hellfire, Anguish, Scream, and now they are now introducing the beta of the Ascend the Tower. So this is like a pit but more challenging, and I believe there's no cost to enter the tower. So now we have leaderboards, so players who really want to to showcase their build and their ability to really to showcase their skills on the game. So this is now we have the leaderboard, so players can hop in and then showcase their skills and their build. So now we will have the leaderboards. So I think that is also available on the season PTR. So basically I will be playing the PTR, but most probably I'm just gonna focus on probably the new items on the Necromancer, and then basically the new mechanic on what's going to happen, like the tempering, masterworking, the new fortification. So the new effect of the rework of the fortification. So introducing season rank. So this is the one I'm talking about. So now we have renown. So the so we have rank, season rank 1 to 6, and then each rank we will be given by some kind of a skill. So basically, what the skills, I believe, the Paragon board, those bonuses that we got, like right now when we start the game, we have this 14 levels of skill points, 14 skill points right away, because that came from Lilith, those renown points from the from completing the chapters of each town. So those achievement points, so those achievements, that the rewards that we got, so those are the renown. So it's we can still get them, but not right away, but we're getting it through playing the game by getting these season ranks. And then the bonus from the altars of Lilith and then the tenets of the Akarat will be we can still get it, but it will just give some experience points and some minor rewards. And now they're bringing back the capstone dungeon, so there is no more torment 1 to 4. Oh, sorry, there's no more you don't need to go to torment 1 to clear the I think the pit 20. So we have a capstone dungeon. This was the previous mechanics, I think, back when, I think before season 4. So we have this capstone dungeon. So you clear capstone for level 50, and then you have this for level 75. So we have now just unlocking from normal. Then when you unlock the normal, when you clear this menagerie on the normal mode, then you go to expert. When you clear this one, then you go to this one, then so on and so forth. So when you clear this sins of the many, then you are now at torment 3, then you can now go to torment 4. And they have also removed the penalty for the armor and the resistances on torment difficulty. So they are reworking how, again, the armor and the resistances work. The armor and resistance penalties per torment tiers has been removed. So yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm correct. Okay, we're capstone dungeons, and then new unique items. So items, Necromancer, Grey Bloom, the new. This is the one I'm talking about on my stream. Like, how about having a multiple golems at one? Now we have it, but we're having 3 mini golems, but each of the golems is up to 60% of their normal damage, plus they gain a 30% attack speed. So technically, if you have 3 golems at 60, so basically you are having a golem of 180 damage. So it's like you have a golem that is dealing with an additional 80% damage. I hope they make it 5 though. I hope they make it 5 though. I don't know how strong the 3 golems will be though. So anyway, let's go over with the patch notes very quickly. I think they have a few minor changes on the Vessel of Hatred, so just bear with me as I scroll. So it's gonna be a bit fast. Paragon items, rune. They have some changes on the Sal rune, fixing an issue for the Sal rune and Ammonia rune. Base game. So we're not going. Okay, Necromancer, Grey Bloom. This one's respawn 3 smaller golems. So hopefully I'll try to test this out on the PTR. Let's see how it goes. So balance, update. So Melted Heart of Selig. So I believe they have said this, like the way it works now, that instead of having a maximum resource, you get a primary resource by 3% of your primary stats. So if you're intelligence based stat, so 3% of that will be your primary resource, and then your damage, the damage that you will be taking will be taken from your primary resource. So you have, and I don't know what's 75 reduced life, so you only have like 25% life, so it's like a low life kind of build. So we don't know. So as you can see, what most changes, especially on the armor and the resistances, they have increased all of the resistances. And as I have said a while ago, they are changing the armor and the resistances as a rating type. So I think there's no more cap. That's my assumption. It's like, imagine this one. All resistances updated to 80 all resistance, maximum resistance affix replaced with resistance percentage affix, and then maximum resistance per element replaced with 20 to 40% resistance per element. So we'll see. Most of the resistances has been changed. So what you will notice is, which I agree on what they are changing here, especially the maximum life. Basically, you have so many maximum life on your Paragon board, and mostly on your Paragon board, and maybe on your character special abilities, like on the Necromancer, the Book of the Dead. When you have so many multipliers, especially on the maximum life, just a minimal flat life, it will increase your health significantly, because you have so many multipliers rather than you're getting more multipliers. So if you can see here, they're changing the maximum life affix replaced with maximum life affix, because once you equip the temerity, when you have those so many maximum life multipliers, you will gain more life. And now they're changing the Volt's Will with maximum life with critical strike chance affix. So Flicker Step. Now see, Flicker Step now lightning resistance affix now replaced with all resistance affix. That's better. So damage reduction. So now they're removing the damage reduction. Close affix replaced with life affix, because we don't need the damage reduction now. The damage reduction is coming from the armor. Same thing with this one, Banished Lord Talisman, maximum life affix now replaced with flat life affix, because if you equip this maximum life, it will add only a little bit, but if you add a flat life, it will increase your life significantly. So you can see now they are reducing the fortification value, because it's easy to fortify, and now the fortification now gives us another pool. Basically the fortification is now acting like a barrier that mitigates the damage based on the amount of fortification that you have. And for the Necromancer, we are very efficient on fortification through our the Necrotic Carapace, and especially the blood skills. So now they're increasing some of the aspects from rank 16 to 21. So again, Barbarian, I'm not familiar with that. We'll just go over with our Necromancer. Now, Book of the Dead. Respawn timer for the Golem, 20 to 10 seconds. That is good. Golem's ability targets. The Golem's active ability targets an enemy. Your skeletal warriors and mages will now focus on the target. So I don't know if the Golem, when we cast the ability, can we cast the ability directly to the enemy? Because if this is just, when you target, when you activate the Golem's ability, especially when you're in combat, sometimes you're just casting the skill like you don't know where you're going to hit, right? So if you're going to target an enemy, does it allows you to really specifically target an enemy, or is it by RNG or by AI of the Golem? When it lands, does the enemy that it hits first, that's the one that our minions will target? But at least this is a good thing, that through the help of the Golem, through our Golem, we will now have the ability to at least redirect and concentrate our minions attack. And same thing here, the fortification has been reduced to 3% to 0.1%. And again, because we are efficient on fortification, if we can fortify most of the time, it's like a barrier all the time. Then we have increased damage on corpse explosion, blighted corpse explosion, and the bone spirit now only consume up to 500 essence. I wonder if there's really a way that we can increase the our essence more than 500. That they have mentioned that the maximum is only 500. Basically, this is also tied up with the aspect of adaptation, that the maximum essence also that you can. Is it adaptation? Can't remember. Is it adaptation that you're only allowed to increase the damage of your basic skill? I think 0.6%, and then up to a certain essence only, a maximum essence only. I think it was the adaptability. Passives, Kalon's Edict. This is a good change. Previously, we need the attack speed and the increase in damage provided by the Kalon's Edict is based on the number of minions. Now, it is a stable. Once we get this key passive, it gives a 40% increased damage and 40% attack speed. So it's like, if we want to play just the golem build only without the mages, without the skeletal minions, so we are not losing the buff from the speed and the damage of the Kalon's Edict, even with 3 golems. However, the multiplier damage from the Hellbent Commander is the one that we will be losing. But basically, we can do a combination of maybe golem warriors, so that's 3 and then 5, right? Am I correct? Three, four. I think skeleton warriors are 4 at maximum, and then 3 for the mages. And then if we have the occult dominion, then 6 on the warriors and then 4 on the mage. But let's just say you don't want the occult dominion, you just want to play the warriors, and with the warriors and the golem, so you have 8, so you have 7 in total, right? So you can get that you can still get the benefit from the Hellbent Commander. Then Necrotic Carapace, like I said, so they are reducing the basically they have reduced it to basically quite big. But then again, I think we will still test this one if this is enough for us to really generate a decent amount of fortify. Drained vitality. What is drained vitality? 45 reduced from 2.5 to 0.5 maximum life. Drained vitality. I believe this is the fortification when you deal when you overpower something. Supernatural blood surge. So the one that gives us a multiplier damage. So now while fortified. And with regards to fortification, so in the current state of the game, when you say fortify, you have this kind of symbol on your health bar that you are fortified. When the fortification amount is equal to your maximum life, your current health, or above your current health, you are fortified. Now, the fortification state is that you become fortified even just a tiny bit of fortification that you have. If you build up say even just a 0.1 fortification, you are already fortified. So that is a good change here, that when you don't need to have you don't need to be a maximum fortification to become fortified, to become in a state of fortified. So just a very small amount of value, you are fortified, then our blood surge will now deal increase in damage. As simple as that. The same thing, they have also changing the maximum life, 3% fortify, chance to fortify. Okay, hungry blood, so they're also changing the hungry blood, so they are I think the only thing that they're changing here is this statement when it first hits an enemy that is already lands. So I think it's no longer waiting for it is no longer waiting for an enemy um, to be lanced when when your blood lance launch another projectile. It will hit the enemy right away. And then we have this increased ranks again on some of our aspects. Then mutilator plate, so they are reducing the fortification. And now see, maximum life, they're changing it to flat life. I think except for the Indira's memory has a huge increase in life. Damage reduction from enemies are replaced with intelligence affix. This is nice. Now they understand, like, we don't need really the damage reduction, but right now, again, the damage reduction is coming from the armor. Casime's legacy, so they are also adjusting and reworking and changing the affixes, which is the affixes that they are replacing it with is much more better. And then for the Indira's memory, so now the Bone Spear deal additional damage. It's a blood skill, casting Bone Spear will still the same. They have removed, but I believe they have removed the Blood Waves cooldown. So it's no longer reducing the Blood Waves cooldown, but I feel like the Bone Spear is still lacking some damage multipliers, and especially with the rework of the overpower and the bone duster aspect. This build needs some rework, hopefully in the future. Damage reduction, so again they're placing it with the intelligence affixes. Basically, intelligence is our it's a very important affix for the Necromancer, because it not just it increases our damage, skill damage, but also our resistances, especially right now. If we need to be tougher, if we need our toughness rating to be as high as possible, if you want to play and if you want to push, if you want to play on the leaderboard, so you need to increase your intelligence, your damage, and as well as your resistances as well. So Unmaker, same thing. Now they're placing it with cooldown reduction. So basically, it's what they're changing on the items are very good in terms of, it's like they are replacing the affixes in a more affix that has more impact and more efficient. Then Gravekeeper, this is a good one. Now not just hitting on the healthy enemies. So now it also the legendary bonus damage now also we're also getting the damage bonus is also including the enemies when they are in a injured state. Now this one, I think I was mentioning this on my previous stream, like what will be the purpose of the Blood Drinker. Now it seems like the Blood Drinker now has a purpose that when we are picking up blood orbs, then we're getting fortified. And as far as, like, for example, in the case of the Blood Surge, we are very good on generating blood orbs, so we will be getting those. We are going to be very efficient on fortification. So exhumation glyphs, so they're also changing the exhumation glyph. So again, they're changing the some of the enemies, and then item rarity. So they have also discussed the item rarities here, that rare items will be rarer after level 30, and then the legendary items, I believe before it was dropping at level 25, now it's going to start at level 40 and then up to level 60, and then I think it's still gonna be rarer on level 40. Okay, so, and I think they're also changing the the materials that we are going to use on the occultist for the imprinting. Now we only need some veiled crystals and then forgotten souls to imprint, which is also good. Same thing with the enchanting and the blacksmith. And then here for the tempering, as I have said a while ago, rare tempering. Now rare has now only one temper chance. These are temper chance. And then legendary and beyond has 3 temper chance. And then so when you use a scroll of restoration, so the scroll of restoration, so I'm correct. What I'm saying a while ago was correct. So you can use the scroll of restoration to restore the temper. So basically, if you temper an item and you don't want the item, I would say the only thing is, if you temper using a resource temper, and then if you want to switch with a offensive resource, I don't know if they're gonna allow you to switch with another type of temper. Maybe not. Maybe they're only allowing you to reroll the same type of affix, and then you can have you can reroll as many as you want. So yeah, so you don't have before, right? Right now, the state of the game is that when you temper an item and then you didn't hit the right affix, and then you use the scroll of restoration and you still didn't hit it. So so this one is just, again, you can now choose the temper affix that you need. The only purpose of this re-rolling is that if you find that the value of the temper that you're looking for is not the highest one, now you can keep on re-rolling the item until you reach the, if you really want to push and make the perfect affixes for your build, then you can keep on re-rolling the affix until you hit the maximum value. And you can keep using the scroll of restoration. There's no limit. So basically it's unlimited. Basically, you can keep on like for example, you have 3 chances for the legendary items, right? So if you hit 0 and you're still not contented on the affix, then you can use again the scroll of restoration, roll the item again. If you're still not satisfied, you can still use again your scroll of restoration, and then it will reset again. And then so here they have explained how the masterworking works. So the masterwork will have it will, every upgrade, it will increase from 2 to 5 levels. The maximum threshold is 20. So 20 is from 1 to 20 is basically the percentage from 1% to 20% increase. So basically, the masterwork, again, it only increases not the affixes anymore, but only the base, the implicit, the base value of the item, and they call it quality. So for the weapons, it's the damage or block chance, I believe, for the offhand, and then lucky hit chance, I believe. I think it's still damage on the offhand. And then on the armor, you have this your armor, basically your armor. And then on your jewelries, those are the resistances, I believe. For the boots, I don't know, I think still armor, boots, pants, gloves, pants, chest, and then helm. I think those are all armors. And then they're now bringing back the masterworking material called neath iron. So we're getting we will be using the neath iron in order to upgrade and reworking the masterwork the item. So when we reach the maximum threshold of 20% on the item, so it is now what they call masterwork. Then you have now the opportunity to upgrade and get the capstone bonus. So the capstone bonus will allows us to randomly get and place, basically upgrade one of the affixes to be a greater affix. If you don't have a GA, then it will have a GA now. So I would say it will become an ancestral item. If you have 1 GA, then you get the second greater affix by random, any random affix. The difference with the masterwork now, if you want, you can still, let's just say the greater affix that it hits, it's not the one that you want. You can still re-roll by using the Neath Iron and Obdusite to re-roll again the capstone bonus. However, it is no longer resetting the masterwork threshold item compared to when we reset the masterwork before. So technically, once the item reaches the 20%, the 20 threshold, it's there. It's not going to be reduced when you re-roll the capstone bonus again, which is a good thing that they did that. So now we have new healing affixes: life on kill, regen, life on hit, healing percentage. I believe they are, again, the reason why they're doing this, it's because of the new defensive rating kind of mechanic. So we need more life regen and more sustainability. So basically sustainability on our defense in order to be to survive, especially on pushing on, maybe on the leaderboards, on the tower, or maybe even on the pit. We don't know how powerful the monsters are dealing now. So, and then there's also changing for the dungeons, and then the heraldic strong rooms, and some changes and miscellaneous. So there you have it. So PTR is going to be live on October 21st up to October 28th. So that will be the PTR for the upcoming season 11. So that is the PTR 2.5.0, and I'm very excited. So probably I'm assuming that the season 11 is going to start somewhere by end of the October. I would say like 4 weeks after the season, the 2.5.0 PTR will end. So I'm very excited to play the next season, and we'll see what will be this new mechanics going to be. And it really overhauled the entire mechanic of the game now, and I believe it's a good changes, and there we are going on in a good direction on making the game more better, in terms of, like, now we have a better improvement on the tempering and the master working now. And now hopefully, and I'm still looking forward that the overpowered damage will be, especially for the Necromancer side, the overpower mechanic will have some changes soon. So yeah, there you have it. Thank you very much, and if you like this video, please click that notification bell and subscribe to my channel, and so that you'll be updated on my next videos. And yeah, please, thank you very much for watching, and hope you find this thank you very much for watching this my brief summary on the upcoming season 11 mechanic, and upcoming for the PTR patch notes 2.5.0. So again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next video, and have a good one. Bye.